Good evening, everyone. I'm Shinya. I'm certified psychologist in Japan.
Even when you go to bed at night, your brain can't rest. Worries about the future and flashbacks of past failures keep playing on repeat like a broken record. Many people blame this on their personality, saying things like, "I'm an anxious person," or "I have a weak mental state." However, as an expert in psychology and neuroscience, I can assure you it's not a personality problem. It's a problem with the brain's circuitry or even a physiological phenomenon that could be called an evolutionary bug. Today, I won't be offering any vague psychological theories or spiritual comforts. Combining modern clinical psychology, neuroscience, and the physical techniques of Zen, which have a history of over 1,000 years, I'll anatomically explain the mechanism of anxiety within your brain. I'll also show you how to hack and rewire it. This is not a relaxation video. This is a lecture on awakening. Let's start by identifying your enemy, the true nature of the constant stress you're feeling. For 2,500 years, Buddhism has called this the mind monkey or rampaging monkey. Imagine a monkey in the forest, grabbing a branch, letting go, and jumping to the next. Our minds are the same. One moment it grabs a branch thinking, "What should I do about tomorrow's meeting?" The next it jumps to a branch thinking, "I wish I hadn't said that then." And then to a branch thinking, "Will I have enough money for retirement?" It never stops, not even for a moment. This is the mind monkey. Modern neuroscience has identified the true nature of this mind monkey. It is a brain network called the Default Mode Network, or DMN. The DMN is made up of areas along the brain's midline, including the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex. The most distinctive feature of this network is that it automatically switches on when you're not concentrating on anything. In other words, when you're daydreaming, your brain isn't resting. Rather, the DMN is consuming energy at a ferocious rate, idling at high speed. So what does the DMN do? It primarily performs self-referential processing. It continually weaves stories about me. I'm a failure. Why did I fail like that? What's going to happen to me now? It digs up past memories and simulates future threats. This is the function of the DMN, and it's a breeding ground for anxiety and depression. Research suggests that modern people spend approximately 50% of their waking hours engaging in this mind wandering. And as the famous paper stating, "A wandering mind is an unhappy mind," shows, the higher the level of DMN activity, the lower our subjective well-being. In other words, it's not the real-life events themselves that cause us suffering, but rather the mental stories created by the DMN. What's important here is that DMN activity itself is a necessary function for survival. In primitive times, always assuming the worst and learning from past mistakes was essential for protecting oneself from predators. However, in modern society, this function is overactive. Our brains mistakenly interpret social media notifications and work pressure as a life-threatening situation, like an attack from a saber-toothed tiger, causing the DMN to continue to run wild. Zen training, particularly Zazen, aims not to achieve religious enlightenment, but rather, in neuroscientific terms, to calm the DMN and switch networks. Brain imaging studies using fMRI have confirmed that when skilled meditators enter a meditative state, activity in the medial prefrontal cortex, a key hub of the DMN, dramatically decreases. They're not trying to forcefully erase their thoughts, rather they're physically switching the brain's energy supply from the DMN to other networks, specifically the Central Executive Network, CEN, and Salience Network. This switching is the true nature of the awakening that I want everyone to master. So what should we do? The switch that stops our brain from running wild isn't actually in our heads. It's located in our body. The most important place is our stomach. Now, let me discuss some technical anatomical topics. Zen has long taught us to focus our attention in our dantian, a few centimeters below our navel. This isn't just a Qigong concept. When we superimpose this onto a Western medical anatomical diagram, we can see the presence of the epigastric plexus and the hypogastric plexus, two huge relay stations for the autonomic nervous system. This abdominal nerve network not only receives commands from the brain, but also continuously sends a huge amount of information back to the brain. This is called the gut-brain axis. Surprisingly, over 90% of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that stabilizes emotions, is produced in the gut, not the brain. When we feel anxious, the serotonin system in our brain does not function properly. At the same time, the sympathetic nervous system becomes dominant. Breathing becomes shallow and rapid, and blood rushes to the muscles of our limbs. This is the fight or flight state. At this time, blood flow to the abdomen is restricted, intestinal movement stops, and the nerve plexus in the tanden area is tense. A Zen approach reverses this vector. By consciously applying pressure to your tanden and breathing deeply and slowly, you physically massage your enteric nervous system. This stimulates the enterochromaffin cells in the intestinal lining, releasing serotonin. This chemical signal is transmitted via the vagus nerve to the raphe nucleus in the brainstem, which then sends a signal of relief to the entire cerebral cortex. In other words, you don't have to tell yourself to calm down. Use your stomach to send physiological evidence to your brain that you are safe. This is the essence of Zen psychology, which integrates top-down cognitive therapy and bottom-up somatic therapy. When we are anxious, our attention is focused on our head. Our eyes move rapidly, our brows tense, and our thoughts swirl around in our heads. Our center of gravity is raised to the maximum. This is called upset. It's like our set has become up. On the other hand, a calm person is described as grounded, or in Japanese, having one's haragatateteru, assuming one's stomach is set. This is not a metaphor. It describes the physical state of one's center of gravity and neural activity. Bringing awareness down from the head, DMN, to the abdomen, tanden/enteric nervous system, forces a shift in the brain's processing mode. Here we'll introduce a famous episode in the history of Zen. It is a dialogue between Bodhidharma, the founder of Chinese Zen, and his disciple Huike. One snowy night, Huike pleaded with Bodhidharma, "Teacher, my heart is bursting with anxiety. Please put my heart at ease." Bodhidharma quietly replied, "Very well. Now, bring this so-called anxious mind out here and I'll put it to rest." Huike searched desperately within himself, but he could not find any substance in the form of anxiety anywhere. All he found were fragments of thoughts that appeared and disappeared one after another. Huike replied, "I have searched, but I cannot find the mind." Bodhidharma then replied, "See, your mind is now at peace." This koan, known as Dharma Anjin, represents a highly advanced cognitive behavioral therapy intervention from a modern psychological perspective. Bodhidharma was trying to help Huike stop identifying with his anxiety and instead view it objectively as an object of observation, shifting from the subjective experience of "I am anxious" to a metacognitive perspective of "I have thoughts of anxiety." This is the key to breaking the spell of the DMN. Anxiety is not you. It is merely a pattern of electrical signals firing in neural circuits in the brain. Because it has no substance, it cannot be extracted. At the end of this first part, I hope you will gain a deeper understanding of this concept. Your brain creates anxiety to protect you, but you don't have to be its slave. You are the master of consciousness who quietly observes this